Miles felonies had refused to come to the initial appearance this evening.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
He's the one who's held on a whole bunch of things, right? No, he's
I know
not.
he still he's got the DOC hold.
Okay.
And Your Honor, he's been continued quite a few times. Last night, the reason he continues to be continued is that he is smart court eligible. So we would need him here to waive that time.
Okay, so we're just gonna continue it again, I guess?
That would be up to the defense. That's just what happened last night.
Judge, it's my understanding we don't waive time unless he's in steps. So smart, we keep the regular PH date.
So every
So every time I do this, I get a different answer about that.
So
I have had people tell me that. I've also had people tell me they're waiving time on everything, and other ones where they're not waiving time on anything. He's got a DOC hold,
That is correct, Your Honor.
and
this is a simple possession case. Defense counsel, if you want, I can set a nominal bond so he's getting time credit and then appoint you and give him a smart court date.
Yeah, I think that would be best.
All
right, so, sir at the jail, just give me a minute to take care of someone who refused to come, okay? And then I'll get to you next. Just stay where you are, but don't get worried about anything I'm saying right now.
All
right, so on Mr. Delgado, Juanito Delgado, I'm going to show that the defendant refused. Defense counsel waived his presence. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,000 secured. He's released to pretrial services. If you post that, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial. I'm setting a smart court hearing on July 3rd at 9 a.m. and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30. And the public defender's office is appointed, and I'll enter a not guilty plea for him. All right. Now, sir, at the jail, what is your name?
Julio Antonio Salas.
All right. Mr. Savalas, you are here because you've been charged with disorderly conduct. I will enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing William Parvin to represent you. You are already held on city court charges, Tucson city court charges, and probation hold. I'm going to set a $500 secured bond on this case. I'm ordering that you do not have any contact with the alleged victim and do not go to that person's residence or workplace. Your next court date on this is going to be tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with Judge Steele. If you're in custody, she'll see you by video. If you were to be released between now and then, sir, you must appear for that hearing or a warrant could issue. Do you have any questions?
Where's the location and where was it at?
That is in Pima County Justice Court.
No, the victim.
Oh, it's another inmate.
Oh.
And his name is Gabriel Sunrising. So don't have any contact with him. And if you were released from custody, don't go to his residence or workplace. Okay? Any other questions?
I'm getting charged with another misdemeanor?
Yes,
It's another misdemeanor, yes.
All
right, good luck, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah, he's still at the hospital. And Your Honor, my apologies to add fuel to the fire here. Mr. Douglas Celestine shows that he's still at the hospital.
All right. Then I am going to continue the IA to the morning. Because the defendant is in the hospital.
And then we'll bring up Ms. Irby for you right away.
right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Hi, what's your full name? All right, ma'am, you're here because you've been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault on a corrections officer. I will enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the legal defender's office to represent you. You are currently being held by Oro Valley Municipal Court. This new charge is a felony. Pretrial Services is recommending that I set a bond, and the state is asking for a $1,000 bond. Counsel?
Judge, given that she's already being held on a $2,000 bond, she is a student, she has housing and support with her mother, she's only 19 and she has no priors. So given all those factors, we'd be asking for a $250 bond.
I do think $1,000 is appropriate. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $1,000 secured. Ma'am, if you post that, you're released to pretrial services, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victims, and you cannot go to their residence or workplace. Let me clarify what that means, because they're corrections officers, okay? What that means is you can't go up to those people and initiate contact with them, okay? But if they contact you in the course of their duties, you should comply with their requests as long as they're legal and appropriate. It also means that you cannot go to their residence if you get out, and if you get out, you can't go to the jail looking for them, okay? But you're not, obviously not gonna get in trouble for being in the jail, even though that's their workplace, okay? Your next court date on this is a preliminary hearing. It's going to be on July 8th. At 1:30 in the afternoon. Ma'am, that court date is very likely to change. So if you do post bond and get released from custody, please stay in touch with pretrial and your attorney so you know when your court date is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or your court date?
Why my bond gotta be 1,000?
Well, ma'am, I have to look at everything that I have. According to pretrial services, you do have a new violent criminal activity flag. That means statistically, you have a higher chance of committing a violent crime on release than some other people.
All right.
And I also have to look at the nature of the charges, and all of that, okay? So, but your attorney can certainly ask another judge to take a look at it, and that judge will have more information than I have, and so that, it may change, okay? All right, good luck, ma'am.
Am I going on?
Yes.
Can you picture she gets that?
$1,000 ain't shit to me.
Rodriguez?
Hi, ma'am, what's your full name?
Donnie Verdugo.
All right, ma'am, you're here on a couple different things. First of all, you have a warrant out of Pima County Justice Court for failure to appear on a shoplifting charge. The judge assigned to that case has asked that bond be set in the amount of $2,499 cash. I am not going to set that high of a bond, but I am going to hold you on bond. I'm going to set a bond of $1,000 secured. I am entering a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing Jill Lukin to represent you. You'll get her name and phone number in your paperwork. I'm going to order that you do not go back to the incident location, and I'm setting you for a court date. Ma'am, hold on. Ma'am, hold on. Let me finish, and then I'm happy to answer your questions, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so again, it's a $1,000 secured bond. You have a lawyer appointed. You're gonna get the lawyer's name and number in your paperwork. You're not to go back to wherever it is they say you shoplifted, and I don't know where that is, because this is a warrant, so I don't have that information. But I'm setting a court date tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So you're gonna see your attorney and your judge at 1 o'clock tomorrow. If you're in custody, they'll see you by video. If you're out of custody, you need to appear at the Pima County Justice Court for that hearing. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. And certainly they can give you more information about the charges, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So you're not releasing me right now, right?
I'm not releasing you right now.
Okay, so I'm like very much pregnant. I do not need to be here. I was going to the emergency room. I need to be seen. This place is not for me. I
Ma'am.
need it.
You're gonna see your judge tomorrow at 1 o'clock,
That's
Okay?
okay?
all right. And from here, am I able to go to the emergency for like my Braxton Hicks? Because that's where I'm at right now. And I've been trying to put no stress on me, but I'm about to like really, lose it. And I don't know what the domestic violence charge is, but I mean, I don't know what this warrant.
Well, hold on, I
but-
haven't gotten to the second case yet, because you do have new charges in addition to the warrant. The new charges are disorderly conduct, 2 counts of disorderly conduct as a domestic violence offense. And it appears that a warrant issued because you failed to appear in court, on January 5th of 2024 on those charges. So on those charges, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. And I'm going to appoint the Tucson City Public Defender's Office to represent you on those charges, because those are in Tucson City Court. On those charges, ma'am, I am releasing you from custody. So you're only being held on the justice court case, and that judge could release you tomorrow afternoon. I'm releasing you on that case. You're ordered not to commit any acts of domestic violence. You're not to have any contact whatsoever with Sean Verdugo or Roberta Verdugo, and you cannot go to their residence or workplace. However, you can go back one time with the police to get your belongings, if you have things there.
Can I go to the emergency?
The judge finished.
On that case, your next court date is August 1st at 9 o'clock in the morning at Tucson City Court. You have to be there. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could also be tried and convicted in your absence. And if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. All right, you're asking to go to the emergency room. What is,
I am having contractions in my stomach, and I'm like, I'll talk to
how
them.
far along are you in your pregnancy?
I'm 6 months.
Jail, has medical staff seen her?
No, they haven't even talked to me yet. And
Your Honor, I agree.
they're cool right now, but this shit is not okay, and I'm about to start losing it. My belly is kicking.
Okay, hold on.
I need to go into that.
Just hold on a second.
I've been trying to hold it
I
together.
understand.
Okay.
Shit
All right.
hurts.
I understand. Your Honor, I'm gonna make sure she gets seen by our nurse here in the facility right away.
All
I
right.
assure you that. If anything happens medically, we have staff.
So I've been trying to stick on.
We can have you talk to the nurse right now.
All right.
All right, they're gonna make sure you see a nurse right now, and ma'am, if they think you need to go to a hospital, they will take you, okay?
It's fine.
All right, good luck, ma'am. Hi, sir, what's your full name?
Jacob Earl Hornbucker.
All right, sir, you're here on a number of different things. First of all, you have a new charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. You also have a petition to revoke probation in 3 cases in city court. The petition alleges that you were placed on probation for 36 months beginning April 24th of 2024, and that you violated probation because you did not appear for a probation review hearing and you did not enroll in domestic violence treatment. I am going to enter a denial on the petition to revoke probation, and I am going to enter a not guilty plea on the new charges. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your next court date on these is going to be on July 3rd. And that is at 1:30 in the afternoon. That court date is the same whether you're in custody or out of custody. You must be there. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence. And if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. I'm setting bond in the amount of $2,000 cash. I'm ordering that you do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not commit any acts of domestic violence. Do not possess any firearms or weapons. Do not have any contact with Ariana Flores or Brandy Harris. Do not go to their residence or workplace. And follow all conditions of probation. And you'll see Judge Million again on July 3rd at 1:30, whether you're in or out. Do you have any questions, sir?
Yeah. No.
All
All right, good luck, sir.
Sit down, please. Melissa. Here. See.
Hi, ma'am, what's your full name? All right, you are here because you have new charges of contempt of court, criminal trespass, and criminal damage as a domestic violence offense. It looks like you also have a warrant for failure to appear, maybe? Hold on. Not yet. Oh, no, you have another case pending, but you've got a court date on that one. And then you do have a warrant for failure to appear on shoplifting charges, and they added a charge of failure to appear. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I am going to appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. Your next court date, give me 1 second. Do you want to consolidate this one?
That one was actually which I've already vacated that one.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. So I'm also arraigning you then on an assault charge that was supposed to be set for arraignment on July 9th. So I'll enter a not guilty plea on all of those. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney, and I'll appoint the PD's office on all of those. Ma'am, I'm setting bond in the amount of $2,500 secured. I'm ordering that you do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not commit any acts of domestic violence. Do not have any contact with the alleged victims. Do not go to their residence or workplace, and do not go back to the incident location. Your next court date, if you're in custody, is July 5th at 1:45 in the afternoon, and you'll be seen by video. If you're released from custody before then, your court date changes to July 25th at 9:30 in the morning. That's at Tucson City Court with Judge Mayhew. You must appear for that hearing. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence, and if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. Do you have any questions about your court dates or your release conditions?
Have any questions?
All right, I'm going to take her silence as a no. Good luck, ma'am.
Come over here, madam. Ma'am. Come here. Here, I'll take it. Close. Okay, downstairs, that's in that corner.
Hi, what's your full name?
Chelsea Watts.
All right, ma'am, you're here because you've been charged with criminal damage and disorderly conduct. I will enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. Ma'am, I'm setting bond in the amount of $500 secured. I'm ordering that you do not have any contact with the alleged victims and do not go to their residence or workplace. If you're in custody, your next court date is July 5th at 1:45 in the afternoon. If you post bond before then, your court date changes to July 29th at 9 a.m. at Tucson City Court with Judge Maldonado. You must appear for that hearing. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence, and if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or your court dates?
No, I understand.
All right, good luck, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm out of files. Very much.
myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs.
That's the Richard. It's a Richard.
Hello.
Hi, sir. What's your full name?
Guillermo Alejandro Molina.
All right. Sir, you're here on two different cases. In one case, you're charged with unlawful use of a means of transportation. In the other case, you're charged with manslaughter. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you. Pretrial Services is recommending that I release you under their supervision. The state is asking for a $1 million bond on the manslaughter case and a $5,000 bond on the unlawful use case. For the record, the law prohibits me from just setting $1 million bond on every homicide case. Release conditions have to be individual to the specific case and the specific defendant. They also have to take into account the defendant's financial situation. So I have no intention of setting bond at $1 million. Defense counsel, what would you like to tell me?
Thank you, Judge. So he has verified housing and support with his mother. He is also only 19 years old and is unemployed currently, so he doesn't have significant financial means to make any crazy amount of bond. He's also a lifelong resident of Tucson. He doesn't have any priors. And as you saw from the interim complaint, this seems to be like mostly an accident, just a mishandling of a weapon. Obviously really dire results, but it didn't look like there was any negative intent involved. So given those facts, Judge, on the manslaughter, we'd be asking for a $10,000 bond. And on the unlawful means, we'd be asking for a $1,000 bond.
All right, so when setting release conditions, the only things I'm allowed to consider are I'm required to set the least onerous conditions that will assure the defendant comes to court and that the defendant is not a danger to the community. It is not appropriate for me to set a bond as a punishment. So what I need to look at is, you know, how much of a risk is this person to the community and how much of a risk are they for not showing up? Mr. Molina appears to have absolutely no prior felony criminal history, adult or juvenile. He does not have a violent criminal activity flag. He's at the lowest possible rating on a failure to appear scale for risk, and he is just barely, he's in the second to lowest possible one for new criminal activity. I'll note that the point he did get are based on this being a violent offense. According to the probable cause statement, he was handling someone's gun. There was no indication that they were arguing or anything else. The gun went off. He shot himself and the other person. Am I correct about how I read that?
Yes, Judge. He has a bandaged hand here today.
I understand that someone died and that may warrant a sentence of incarceration, but it does not make him a high risk to the community or to failure to appear. I'm going to follow pretrial services recommendation and release him to pretrial. That is their recommendation despite the charges. And again, the facts of this case are very different from most homicide cases. There's no indication whatsoever of intent. Sir, I am going to release you to pretrial services, but I am ordering that you are not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs at all, you cannot have a firearm in any way, shape, or form. If you walk into a room and there's a firearm, turn around and walk out. Don't touch it, okay? If you own any firearms, which you shouldn't, you're under 19, but if you do, you need to surrender those to law enforcement within 24 hours. You need to submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. You're not to have any contact with the victim's family, and you are not to go to the residence or workplace of the victim's family.
Yes, sir.
Your next court date on this is going to be on July 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. Sir, that court date is very likely to change. You need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial services so that you know when your court date is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. And I want to be clear with you that given the nature of the charges, if you get a warrant for failure to appear, you are very likely going to be held on a significant bond. So you're kind of getting a one-time chance to show us that you can come to court and follow all the release conditions and take care of this, okay?
Yeah.
You should call the public defender's office sometime in the next few days to make sure they have your contact information correct. Stay in touch with pretrial. That's all your release conditions on the manslaughter case. On the unlawful use of a means of transportation, same thing. I'm going to release you to pretrial services. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and you must surrender any to law enforcement within 24 hours. Submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial. In that case, don't have any contact with the alleged victim and don't go to that person's residence or workplace. Your next court date on this is July 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. Again, that court date is likely to change. So again, you need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial so you don't miss court. If you do, you'll get a warrant. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or your court dates?
No, ma'am.
All right.
All right. Good luck, sir.
Let's see. Sir.
I believe the next defendant is the Spanish speaker.
Interpreter is present, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. This must have been continued. Somebody else would find this?
Buenas noches. Buenas noches.
Good evening.
¿Qué tengo que decir? ¿Al español?
Sir, what is your
Name.
name?
Full name.
Full name.
Señor, ¿qué es su nombre completo?
Roberto León Villa.
Roberto León Villa.
Ajá.
All right.
Jail, he's been booked under Carlos Gonzalez Zuniga.
Es que el oficial del...
Hold on. I need the interpreter to interpret everything.
Necesito que la intérprete interprete todo. Le dice a los oficiales que él fue fichado bajo otro nombre de Carlos Zúñiga.
Sí, pues porque...
Jail, have you been able to confirm his identity?
Le pregunta a la cárcel si ellos han podido verificar su identidad.
Es que nunca me han...
Señor, cállate por favor.
Okay.
Ahora cállate. Listen,
Your Honor, my apologies. So the booker is telling me that he was fingerprinted and he is booked in under the name that he was booked in under. That is Carlos Enrique Gonzalez Zuniga.
Es my caso.
We can't find any record of the name he's in.
And the booking staff is telling me that they cannot find any record of the name that he giving to the court now and as given to the Bookers prior.
Si quiere leer.
Su señoría, dice el oficial, cuando la persona que lo fichó hizo las huellas digitales y no encuentra ningún nombre bajo esas huellas digitales,
Es que
y es el nombre que ha estado usando previamente y esta vez.
Okay.
no,
Okay.
es que
So, sir, hold on.
Señor,
I need you to wait until it's your turn to talk.
necesito que esperes a que sea su turno para hablar.
I need to talk to the jail staff and the attorneys before I talk to you.
Antes de hablar con usted, yo voy a hablar con el personal de la cárcel y con los abogados.
okay.
So, jail staff, I just want to understand, did his fingerprints match Carlos Enrique Gonzalez Zuniga?
Le pregunta al
I'm told by
personal de la
bookings.
cárcel que si sus huellas digitales se unieron con el nombre de Carlos Enrique.
Me
González
confundieron.
Zúñiga.
Me confundieron porque yo no soy
Sir, you need to wait until it's your
Usted
turn to speak.
necesita esperar hasta que sea su turno de hablar.
Pero es que no sé qué voy a hablar.
Your Honor, I'm told by booking staff that the fingerprints matched Gonzalez, Zuniga, Carlos Enrique.
Me dice el personal de la cárcel que las huellas digitales se unieron con el nombre de Carlos Enrique González Zúñiga.
Oye, ¿puedo hablar?
Sí.
So, sir, I don't want you to say anything about the charges.
Yo no quiero que diga nada sobre los cargos,
Anything you say about the charges can be used against you.
porque cualquier cosa que usted diga acerca de los cargos se puede usar en su contra.
But I do want you to talk to me about your identity.
Pero sí quiero que me platique sobre su identidad.
Ajá, me confundieron.
Yes, they confused me.
So, jail staff are saying that they ran your fingerprints and they matched the fingerprints of Carlos Enrique Gonzalez Zuniga.
El personal de la cárcel dicen que ellos pusieron sus huellas digitales en el sistema y que esas huellas digitales salieron bajo el nombre de Carlos Enrique González Zúñiga.
No, porque él es mi primo. Si quiere, le puedo hablar para que él venga por su ID. Él la dejó en mi carro.
No, because that's my cousin. If you want, I could call him so he could come because he left his ID in my car.
Y se parece mucho a mí él, y el policía piensa que yo soy.
And he looks a lot like me, so the police think it's me.
Did you, have you used his name in the past?
¿En el pasado usted ha usado el nombre de él?
No, nunca, no.
No, never, no.
I can't think of a way that your fingerprints would get associated with someone else unless you used their name in the past or you are that person.
No puedo pensar alguna manera de cómo las huellas digitales de otra persona se pueden utilizar con el nombre suyo, a menos que usted usó el nombre de esa persona en el pasado.
No, yo no soy, yo no soy de aquí. Yo no tengo ID de Arizona porque yo entré aquí por asilo político y estoy aquí por asilo político porque me mataron a mi hermano y a mi mamá.
Por favor, un momento. No, because I'm not from here. I entered with political asylum because my mother and my father were murdered, and I am not from here. I hadn't been in Arizona before.
And you're saying your full name is Roberto Leon Pia, is that correct?
Y dice usted que su nombre completo y verdadero es Roberto León Díaz.
Ya, sí.
What is your birthday?
¿Qué es su fecha de nacimiento?
29 de septiembre del 2002.
29th of September of 2002.
Ajá. Y aquí tengo 2002.
Let me talk to the attorneys for a minute. I need you to wait to talk anymore, sir.
Bueno, señor, deje de hablar un momento porque yo voy a hablar con los abogados ahora.
Okay.
State, what is your position given the identity issue?
Le pregunta al abogado que sí que es la postura de ellos debido a la cuestión de identidad.
Judge, given that the fingerprints came back to the name that he was booked on, that's the position the state will take, that he is Carlos, and I forget the two last names.
Dice el Estado que debido a la postura que vamos a tomar, es que debido a que esas huellas digitales se unen con ese nombre, nuestra postura es que él es esa persona.
No le podemos marcar.
I should have been clearer.
Debo ser más clara.
My question is whether that affects your release recommendation.
Mi pregunta es que si acaso eso afecta la recomendación de liberación.
In the no, Judge, the state's recommendation is based on the pretrial services report for Gonzalez Cepeda.
No, su señoría, porque la recomendación de los servicios preprocesales se basa al nombre de González Zúñiga.
But if we're going to operate that he is the other name he provided, the state would ask that he be continued so that could be investigated and worked up by pretrial services.
Pero si acaso queremos acertar que él es la persona que él ahora indica que es, deberemos de postergar eso para que se pueda verificar que él es esa persona.
Yo tengo una ID mexicana en my home, una de Sonora, que donde me dice mi nombre, Roberto León Villa.
I have a Mexican ID at home that says my name is Roberto León Díaz.
Y ahí está mi primo, donde el ID esa, él puede venir y enseñar su cara porque él es el Carlos y yo no soy, yo me llamo Roberto, Robert.
And my cousin is there too, who would come and show his face because he is Carlos. My name is Robert.
No sé cómo las huellas pudieron detectar si no soy yo, pues el Carlos. Si quieren.
I don't know how those fingerprints detected it that way because it's not me.
Yo trabajo en los techos, soy techero y no tengo ni papeles. Yo trabajo en los techos. Mire mis manos.
I'm a roofer and I work as a roof. And I work as, señor, por favor, déjale intérprete que interprete. And I work as a roofer, so you can see my hands. I don't know how this got messed up.
Sir, did you give pretrial the contact information for anyone who can confirm who you are?
Señor, ¿acaso usted le dio la información a los servicios preprocesales de cómo se pueden poner en contacto para verificar quién es usted?
Sí, les dije, pero el oficial como yo la ID de mi primo, se aferró diciendo que yo era, y le decía, no soy, el oficial se equivocó, pensando que yo era, pero no soy.
Un momento, por favor. Yes, I did tell the officer, but he was insistent that it was me, and that it was me, because he found that ID in the car, but it's not me.
Pero yo soy libre, no es mi ID esa, yo no soy de aquí, pues, yo soy de Agua Prieta, Sonora.
But that's not my ID. I'm not from here. I'm from Agua Prieta, Sonora.
In the roofing.
Judge, if I may.
I'm ready to rule.
La jueza dice que está lista para emitir su decisión. Señor.
I am going to release you to pretrial services supervision.
Lo voy a liberar bajo la supervisión de los servicios preprocesales.
You are not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs.
Se le prohíbe tener alcohol o drogas ilegales.
You are not to have any firearms or weapons.
Se le prohíbe portar armas ni armas de fuego.
Okay.
And you must submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial.
Usted tiene que someterse a cualquier monitoreo o tratamiento que le diga a los servicios preprocesales que haga.
Okay.
I'm entering a not guilty plea for you.
Voy a sentar una declaración de no culpable de su parte.
You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney.
Usted tiene derecho de guardar silencio y derecho a un abogado.
I'm appointing the County Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Le estoy asignando la oficina del defensor público a que lo represente.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
I am ordering that you provide your attorney with your identification, with your like an identification card, a driver's license, or some other official identification within 1 week.
Estoy ordenándole que usted le proporcione a su abogado con una identificación, una tarjeta identificándolo a usted, licencia a manejar, lo que sea, dentro de una semana.
Oh, pero está en mi casa, me van a dejar ir y voy a poder traerla a la corte.
Well, it's at my house. Am I going to be released? I could just take it to court or...
I am releasing you, but I'm ordering you to contact your attorney within 1 week and provide them with your identification.
Lo voy a liberar, pero le estoy ordenando que usted se comunique con su abogado y le entregue una copia de su identificación o lleve su identificación con su abogado
Ok.
dentro de una semana.
Muchos thank you. Que Dios me la bendiga.
Your
Very
next,
much. God bless you.
your next court date on this is on July 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Su siguiente audiencia para este proceso es el 16 de julio a la 1:30 de la tarde.
However, that court date is very likely to change.
Sin embargo, esta audiencia muy probablemente puede cambiar.
Ok. Y me voy a llevar mi ID, ¿no?
And I'll take my ID to that, right?
De Robert. Tú dices mi nombre legal, mi nombre.
Where it says my legal name, Robert.
Sir, I feel like you're not really hearing what I'm saying.
Señor, siento que usted de veras no está escuchando lo que yo estoy diciendo.
No, sí, sí, sí.
You have to show your ID to your attorney within 1 week of today.
Usted le tiene que mostrar su identificación a su abogado a partir de una semana de hoy.
Your attorney will take care of whatever needs to happen with the court.
Su
Ok.
abogado va a arreglar lo que él tiene que arreglar por el tribunal.
Pero ahorita me van a dejar libre.
Oh,
Vamos.
but I'm going to be released right now.
Yes, you're going to be released, but I'm not done yet. I have other things I have to address with you.
Sí, lo voy a liberar, pero no he terminado. Hay otras cosas que le tengo que explicar.
Sí.
These are important, so you need to pay attention.
Son importantes, entonces preste atención.
Ok, ok.
The court date I just gave you on July 16th is very likely to change.
La fecha de su audiencia, el 16 de julio, es muy probable que cambie.
You need to contact your attorney and stay in touch with your attorney so you know when your next court date is.
Usted tiene que ponerse en contacto con su abogado y mantener contacto con su abogado para que usted sepa cuándo es su audiencia.
You also have to stay in touch with pretrial services and do everything they tell you to do.
Usted también tiene que mantener contacto con los servicios procesales que lo están supervisando y hacer todo lo que ellos le pidan que haga.
Ok, muchas gracias.
If you don't do those things, a warrant for your arrest could be issued.
Si usted no cumple con esas cosas, puede que se emita una orden de arresto en su nombre.
Ok, ok. No, yo voy a estar ahí presente el 16.
No, I will be there on the 16th.
All right. That court date is probably going to change.
Pero esa fecha quizá va a cambiar.
No importa, yo voy a ir a la fecha que sea porque yo quiero estar bien, no quiero tener problemas.
It doesn't matter. I'll go to the date that it's supposed to be because I don't want to have any problems.
You need to go to court when your attorney or pretrial services tells you to. Whether you go to court on the 16th or not, you also need to go to court when they tell you to.
Usted necesita presentarse a su audiencia cuando los servicios preprocesales le digan que lo haga o cuando su abogado le diga que lo haga. Siempre presentarse cuando usted deberá presentarse.
Ok.
Okay.
Please give me a moment because you have another case.
Bueno, permítame un momento porque usted tiene otro caso.
Ok.
All right. In Tucson City Court, you are charged with refusing to provide your true name as a misdemeanor offense.
Bueno, el Tribunal Municipal de Tucson se le presentaron cargos de delito menor porque usted se rehusó de dar su nombre correcto.
On that case, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you.
En este caso, yo voy a sentar de su parte una declaración de no culpable.
You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney.
Usted tiene derecho de guardar silencio y derecho a un abogado.
I am going to release you on your own signature in that case.
Voy a liberarlo bajo su propia palabra o promesa de regresar al tribunal en este caso.
Okay.
You need to come back to court on July 24th at 9:30 in the morning.
Usted tiene que regresar a su audiencia el 24 de julio a las 9:30 de la mañana del Tribunal Municipal de Tucson.
Te lo prometo que yo estaré.
I promise I will be there.
That's at Tucson City Court in front of Judge Mayhew.
Ese es el Tribunal Municipal de Tucson ante al juez Mayhew.
Ok.
I am ordering that you bring your official identification card to that hearing.
Le estoy ordenando que a esa audiencia presente su identificación oficial.
Ok.
Because you don't have an attorney in that case, okay?
Porque en este caso no va a tener abogado viendo.
Ok. Tengo que pagar uno yo.
All right, so then I have to pay for one?
You need to show up at that court date.
Necesita presentarse en esa audiencia.
You can talk to the prosecutor about your options when you get there.
Usted puede hablar con la fiscalía de sus opciones cuando llegue allí.
On misdemeanor charges, a lot of people represent themselves.
Y para cargos delitos menores, muchas personas se representan por sí mismos.
Ok.
All right, do you have any questions about your release conditions or court dates?
Bueno, ¿tiene alguna pregunta sobre sus condiciones de liberación o sus fechas de audiencias?
No, ya, que Dios me la bendiga, y gracias, y me van a liberar ahorita ya, para poder a ver si...
God bless you, and thank you, am I going to be released right now?
It's going to take a few hours.
Va a demorar unas pocas horas.
Ok.
All right, good luck, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Que Dios me la bendiga.
May God bless you.
Bless you.
And the interpreter be excused, Your Honor.
Yes, the Spanish-speaking one can, yes.
Thank you, good night.
All right, and then my understanding is we have another interpreter on the line.
Christian Hero, Swahili interpreter.
And Jail, this is the defendant who needs that interpreter, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Sir, at the jail, what is your full name?
Majina yako ni gani?
Pierre Casquille.
Pierre Casquille.
Sir, you're here on several different things.
Uko hapo kwa ajili ya mashtaka mengi.
Yeah.
First of all, you have a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court.
Cha kwanza kuna karatasi za kukushika kwa ajili ya shtaka liko kwa mahakama kuu.
The charges are theft, possession of a narcotic drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Inasemekana mashtaka yako ni kuiba na kupatikana na dawa za kulevya, halafu na vifaa vya kutumia dawa za kulevya.
It appears you were arrested on April 1st and released to pretrial services.
Inaonekana ulikuwa umeshikwa tarehe 1 mwezi wa 4 ukaachiliwa kwa kitengo kinafaa kuchunguza watu waliochunguzwa wakiwa nje.
You did not contact pretrial services and you missed a court date.
Haukuwasiliana na hicho kitengo kilikuwa kinafaa kukuchunguza na halafu kakosa kwenda mahakamani, tarehe ilikuwa imewekwa.
You also have new felony charges.
Halafu pia uko na shtaka lingine la jinai.
The new charges are 2 counts of aggravated assault as a domestic violence offense.
Ni mashtaka mawili anayohusisha vurugo la nyumbani.
And 1 count of disorderly conduct as a domestic violence offense.
Na shitaka moja la kuwa na tabia mbaya ama ulevi, kuonekana mlevi.
On all of the felony charges, I will enter a not guilty plea.
Katika ya mashtaka yote ya jinai inaenda kuingizwa kwa leo kama hujakutwa na hayo mashtaka.
You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney.
Uko na haki ya kukaa kimya, pia na haki ya kuwa na wakili.
And I am appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Halafu umewekewa wakili wa serikali ambaye atakaye kusimamia kwa mashtaka haya.
Pretrial services is recommending that I hold you on a bond.
Wanao kitengo cha kuchunguza watu wanaoachiliwa wakiwa nje, wanasema lazima ushikiliwe kwa dhamana.
On the older case, the state is asking that I set a bond of $2,500.
Kwa shtaka la kwanza serikali inataka ushikiliwe kwa dhamana ya dola 2,500.
On the newer case, the state is asking that I hold you without bond.
Kwa mashtaka mengine yaliyoongezeka, serikali inaomba ushikiliwe bila dhamana.
On the new case, sir, I am going to hold you without bond.
Katika mashtaka haya mapya unaenda kushikiliwa bila dhamana.
Arizona law requires that I do that because you're charged with committing a felony while on release for a different felony.
Kwa sababu sheria ya Arizona inasema kwamba kama mtu amefanya kosa la jinai na alikuwa ameshikiliwa kwa kosa la jinai, kwa hivyo unaweza kushikiliwa bila dhamana.
In that case, I'm ordering that you do not possess any firearms or weapons.
Katika kesi hii hauruhusiwi kuwa na silaha.
Do not have any contact whatsoever with the alleged victims.
Hauruhusiwi kuwasiliana na uliofanyia makosa waathirika.
And do not go to their residence or workplace.
Na hauruhusiwi kurudi makazi yao ama sehemu wanazotumika.
I'm going to set a no bond hearing on July 1st at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Unaenda kuwekewa sikilizaji kwa ajili ya dhamana tarehe 1 mwezi wa 7.
I'm also setting a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30.
Alafu pia unawekewa sikilizaji kwa ilo kosa lingine tarehe 8 mwezi wa 7 na saa 7:30.
On the older charge,
kwa shtaka la kwanza,
defense counsel, do you want to be heard on bond?
Wakili anayekusimamia anaulizwa kama ana kitu cha kuongea.
Yes, Judge. He's only 18 years old. He also has no prior convictions. It looks like he did have housing before this. Obviously, he can't return because of the victims. But given those factors, we'd be asking for a $1,000 bond.
Katika ile shtaka la kwanza, wakili ambaye anasema ya kwamba uko na miaka 18 na haujakutwa na mashtaka mengine yoyote na ulikuwa na sehemu ya kukaa, lakini hauwezi rudi huko kwa sababu au ndio uliofanyia makosa. Kwa hivyo naomba dhamana iwekwe kwa 1,000.
In that case, I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500 secured.
Katika hilo kosa la kwanza, dhamana imewekwa kwa dola 1,500.
Sir, I'm ordering that if you post bond, you're released to pretrial services.
Ikiwezekana unalipa hiyo dhamana, utakuwa umeachiliwa kwa kitengo kinafaa kuchunguza watu waliochunguzwa wakiwa nje.
You're not to have any alcohol, illegal drugs, firearms, or weapons.
Hautaruhusiwa kutumia pombe, dawa za kulevya ama kumiliki silaha.
You cannot possess any knives. I'm making that a condition in both cases.
Kwa mashtaka yote hauruhusiwi hata kukuwa na kisu.
You're not to have any contact with the alleged victims.
Hauruhusiwi kuwasiliana na waathirika wale waliofanyia makosa.
You cannot go to their residence or workplace.
Hauwezi rudi sehemu wanayoishi ama sehemu wanayofanyia kazi.
And your next hearing on that is a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30.
Katika hili shtaka tarehe ya kusikilizwa ni tarehe 8 mwezi wa 7 saa 7:30.
Sir, you also have new misdemeanor charges.
Alafu pia uko na kosa lingine.
You're charged with 2 counts of disorderly conduct as a domestic violence offense.
Unahukumiwa mashtaka mawili ya kusababisha vurugo la nyumbani, ikiwa ni makosa ya vurugo za nyumbani.
I will enter a not guilty plea for you.
Kwa sasa imeingizwa ya kwamba kama hujakutwa na hayo mashtaka.
I am going to release you on your own signature on that case.
Katika haya makosa utaachiliwa ikiwa wewe mwenyewe utarudi utaapa kama utakuja mahakamani.
You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney.
Uko na haki ya kukaa kimya na haki ya kukuwa na wakili wa kukusimamia.
I'm appointing the city public defender's office to represent you on that case.
Utapewa hakimu wa mahakama ya city wa kukusimamia katika kesi hii.
I'm ordering that you do not commit any acts of domestic violence.
Na hauruhusiwi usifanye kosa lolote lingine la vurugu la nyumbani.
Do not possess any firearms or weapons.
Hauruhusiwi kumiliki silaha au bunduki.
Do not have any contact with the alleged victims.
Usiwasiliane na waathirika.
And do not go to their residence or workplace.
Na usiende makazi yao ama sehemu za kazi.
I am going to order in all three cases that you may return one time with the police to get your belongings.
Katika haya mashtaka yote matatu unaweza ukarudi kwa nyumba mara moja kuchukua vitu vyako.
That means you can take my order to a police department and someone will go with you so you can get your things.
Hiyo inamaanisha unaweza ukaenda kwa kituo cha polisi na amri ya mahakama hii waonyesha kwamba unahitaji kusindikizwa kuchukua mali yako.
Your next hearing on the misdemeanor is July 25th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Katika ili kosa la shtaka la mwisho kwenda mahakamani ni tarehe 25 mwezi wa 7 saa 3 asubuhi.
If you are not in custody, you must appear for that hearing.
Kama hauko mbaroni, uko nje, lazima uende ufike mahakamani katika usikilizaji huu.
If you're not there, a warrant could issue.
Usipoenda kwa usikilizaji huu, kunaweza kukatolewa amri ya kukushika.
You could be tried and convicted in your absence.
Unaweza ukajaribiwa na uhukumiwe bila wewe kuwepo.
And if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal.
Na kama huwezi hukumiwa ndani ya siku 90 kwa sababu haukufika mahakamani, unakosa haki yako ya kukata rufaa.
If you're in custody on that date, your attorney will handle the hearing for you.
Kama hiyo siku ya kwenda mahakamani utakuwa bado umeshikiliwa, wakili wako atashughulikia.
Do you have any questions about your court dates or release conditions?
Je, uko na swali kuhusu tarehe za kufika mahakamani ama amri za kuachiliwa?
Ndio.
Yes.
What's your question, sir?
Maswali yako ni yapi?
Nilikuwa nauliza, anasema nisiende nyumbani, alafu sasa mimi wetu wanitie kiwachiliwa nilipe $1,000. Alafu sasa mimi sina kazi, sina chochote na sina hizo pesa, sijui kama nitaweza nikalipaje, na wakati alishasema eti siwezi hata nikaongea na mama pale nyumbani. Sasa naweza nikatokaje sasa?
You're saying that I'm not allowed to return home and I have to post a bond of 1,000 and I'm not allowed to contact my mom and I'm not employed. How am I going to be able to get money and post a bond?
So, sir, you are actually held without bond, so you cannot get released even if you post the money.
Kwa sasa kuna shtaka lingine ambalo unashikiliwa bila dhamana. Hata ukilipa hiyo pesa hautaachiliwa.
Your attorney will visit you and you need to talk to them about those things, okay?
Wakili wako atakuja kukutembelea na uongee na yeye kuhusu haya maswali.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Kila la heri.
Thank you.
May the interpreter be excused?
Yes, thank you very much.
Over here, Paul. want to do that. Your hand to grab on your back. Close it work. Yeah, come on. Put your hand to grab. And you look, put your hand on back. Yeah, over. Come down. Over.
See my left shirt.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir. What is your full name?
Yardley Alexander Adami.
Give me one moment.
I'm just gonna talk to him for a moment, Judge.
That's fine. Go ahead. I'm ready if you are, counsel.
Okay, Judge, we're ready.
All right, sir, you're here on several different things. First of all, you have new felony charges of theft of means of transportation, burglary, criminal damage, flight from law enforcement, and possession of drug paraphernalia. However, I don't have probable cause on the drug paraphernalia charge, so I'm not going to consider that when setting your release conditions. Sir, pretrial services is recommending, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney, and I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you. Pretrial services is recommending that I hold you on a bond. The state is asking for a $25,000 bond, defense counsel.
Judge, I don't believe $25,000 is necessary in this case. I just spoke with him and he does have housing with his girlfriend and daughter who's 4 years old. He also has a job at a roofing company and he has work tomorrow if he can attend. I understand that he hasn't been attending the misdemeanor courts, but this is his first felony since 2012 when it looks like his sentence ended in 2015. He hasn't picked up anything since. So given all those factors, we'd be asking for a $5,000 bond.
All right, I need to consider the number of priors and the nature of the priors, as well as the history of failure to appear. But I also do need to consider the fact that it appears the last felony offense was committed in 2012 and he was released from prison in 2015. This is a victim offense, but it is a non-violent offense.
And I'm sorry, Judge, just to correct something, that was the last one listed, but he has served prison time on his federal case as late as 2020. Not that it's a huge difference, but it is later.
No, that does make a difference to me. I apologize. I looked at the last thing that's listed, but you are correct. If you look up, he was revoked from federal probation and he was released from prison on that in 2020, and that absolutely does make a difference to me. Thank you for pointing out my error. I'm gonna set bond in this case in the amount of $10,000 secured. Sir, if you post that, you're released to pretrial services, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and you must submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victims, and you're not to go to their residence or workplace. Your next court date on this case will be a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon. However, that court date is very likely to change. So you need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial if you're released so that you know when your court date is and you don't miss it. Sir, you also have a warrant out of Pima County Justice Court for failure to appear on charges of failure to comply the charge is failure to comply with a court order. And it looks like it was a failure to appear on that charge. I'll enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney, although not necessarily at court expense. On that case, I'm going to release you on your own signature. I'm going to order that you follow all court orders. And I am going to give you a court date because you're being held on the felony. Your court date is tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with Judge Steele at Pima County Justice Court. If you're in custody, you'll be seen by video. If you're out of custody, you must appear for that hearing or a warrant could issue.
Okay.
Sir, you also have charges in Tucson City Court. You have new charges of threatening and criminal damage. You also have charges of criminal damage, threatening, leaving the scene of an accident, assault as a domestic violence offense, and criminal damage as a domestic violence offense. On those charges, sir, I'll enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. On that case, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500 secured. I'm ordering that you do not drive without a valid driver's license, do not commit any acts of domestic violence, do not have any contact with the alleged victims, and do not go to their residence or workplace. Your next hearing on this one, if you're in custody, will be July 5th at 1:45 in the afternoon. And you'll be seen by video. If you're released from custody before then, your court date changes to July 31st at 9 a.m. at Tucson City Court with Judge Hale. You must appear for that hearing. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence, and if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or your court dates?
No, Your Honor.
All right, good luck, sir.
Okay.
I'm moving really slow tonight. Sorry, guys.
We do this. Have 8 more people or so.
Guys. Gonzalez. Go, get up. Walk up there, we'll stand right here. Oh.
Hello. Hi, what's your full name?
Harley Wayne Anderson.
All right, so you're here on 2 different things. First of all, you have new felony charges of theft of means of transportation, possession of a narcotic drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you. The state has asked that I hold you without bond. Arizona law requires me to hold you without bond if you're charged with a new felony offense while on release for another felony offense. So I am going to hold you without bond. You're going to have a no bond hearing on July 1st at 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm also setting a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon. The July 1st hearing will happen. The July 8th hearing, that court date may change. So if you get released from custody after the July 1st hearing, make sure you stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial services if you're released to their supervision so that you know when your court date is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. In that case, I'm also ordering that you do not have any contact with any alleged victims and do not go to their residence or workplace. Hold on one second. I am getting a thing from Superior Court saying my computer is about to restart. Guys, anybody know anything about this? My computer is going to restart, it says. The snooze button doesn't work. Okay, we're gonna go until that happens, and then we're gonna have to take a break. All right, sir, you also have a case in Tucson City Court. You're charged with criminal trespass, a warrant issued when you failed to appear. On that case, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. I'm releasing you on your own signature and ordering that you do not go back to the incident location. On that case, your next court date is July 25th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're in custody, your attorney will handle the hearing for you. If you're out of custody, you must appear in Tucson City Court before Judge Cranshaw. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence. And if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or court dates, sir?
No, ma'am.
All right, good luck, sir.
Hello, take a seat.
Hey, Marcos, if you're watching, call me up, please. Or let me or Melissa. When one of you
Hi,
are
sir,
watching.
what is your full name?
Guillermo Godoy,
Okay, did you have a middle name?
Atilano,
Is it Adelano?
Atilano.
Sir, you're here because you have a couple different things. First of all, you have a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court. The charges in that case are possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. It looks like you were arrested in April and released to pretrial services supervision.
Yeah, I used the drug quite a bit, so I'm trying to slow down.
Hold on, sir. Anything you say can be used against you, so please hold on. Warrant issued when you failed to appear on that case. In addition, sir, you have new charges of possession of a weapon by a prohibited possessor, possession of a weapon during a drug offense, possession of a narcotic drug, possession of a dangerous drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll enter a not guilty plea on all of those. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Pretrial Services is recommending that I hold you on a bond. The state is asking for a $1,000 bond on the new case and a $1,000 bond on the older case. Defense counsel?
Judge, just a moment. Hey, Judge. So I just want to point out, these are non-violent, well, they're non-violent offenses. There's no victim listed. He is 61 years old. Before this 2024 case, his last prior was from 2007. He does have residence at his mother's house he could stay at. So given those factors, we are asking for potentially release. Otherwise, if you're inclined for a bond, 500 on each case.
All right, sir, I'm not Given your failure to appear history and your risk scores, I'm not willing to release you on your, without a bond. However, on the older case, the one where you're just charged with possession, I'm actually gonna set.
I never got a.
Okay, sir, I'm gonna set your bond in the amount of $100 secured. Your next court date on that is a criminal arraignment hearing. That is on July 3rd at 1:30 in the afternoon. That court date will not change. You have to appear for that hearing. If you're not there, a warrant would issue. If you post bond, you're released to pretrial services, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. On the newer case, sir, I am going to set bond in the amount of $500 secured. I'm going to order that you do not, if you post that bond, you're released to pretrial, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. In that case, sir, your next court date is July 8th. At 1:30 in the afternoon. That court date may change though, so you need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial if you're released from custody, so you know when your next hearing is. So your total bond is $600 secured. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or your bond, or your, or your court date, sir?
Can I get released to pay the bond?
I'm not gonna release you without a bond, sir, but I've set a very low bond.
If I need to get out to get it, I can't do it in here because I don't know the numbers. All my numbers are on the phone.
Right,
and
so sir,
I don't,
that's something you have to talk to your attorney about. But I'm not gonna release you without a bond because you didn't go to your court date for your first case, and then, hold on, and then you got new charges and you had a gun when you're not supposed to have a gun. So those are my reasons, and you can talk to your attorney about filing a motion to change it, but I'm not gonna change it tonight, sir.
somebody's watching, can you get me released, please, and come and get me on?
Good luck, sir. Mr. Terrace, on Ms. Gonzalez, I'm just giving you a heads up that I would love to know a little bit about the facts if you can, since it's just a warrant.
Okay, Judge, let me pull those up.
Thank you. Obviously, wait for her to be here, but if you could be ready, that'd be great.
Dina. Oh, sitting over at Richard.
Hello. Hello.
You go down stairs and start seeing.
Hi, ma'am, what's your full name?
Marie Gonzalez.
All right. So ma'am, you're here on a couple different things. First of all, you have a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court, and the charge is arson of an occupied structure. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. I do understand that you never failed to appear in this case, ma'am. This was a situation where a complaint and warrant was issued from the outset. I do want to hear from the state a little bit about the facts, and then I'm going to hear from your attorney. So go ahead, Mr. Terrace.
Yes, Judge. So the allegations are that the defendant was with Michael Potter, who was a boyfriend at the time. She was at his house and locked him outside. There was some argument that was going on between them. At a point in time, her brother showed up, and Mr. Potter got in a vehicle with her brother, and they drove around the neighborhood. When they came back about 5 to 10 minutes later, his house was set on fire, and they saw the smoke from down the street, and she went to her grandparents' house, which it looks like was located about 3/4 of a mile away from that location.
All right, thank you. All right, so the state's recommending a $50,000 bond. Defense and pretrial services is recommending that I set a bond. Defense counsel.
Judge, I don't believe a $50,000 bond is necessary. She doesn't have any employment right now. She does have housing, and she's lived in Tucson for 20 years, so she's not a flight risk. She has ties to the community. She only has one prior, and it was actually designated a misdemeanor because she did well on probation. So given those factors, we'd be asking for a $5,000 bond.
All right, given the nature of the charges, the fact that she has a new violent criminal activity flag and is very high on the failure to appear scale and also somewhat high on the new criminal activity scale, I'm gonna set bond in this case in the amount of $25,000. That is secured. Ma'am, if you post that, you're released to pretrial services. You're not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, do not possess any firearms or weapons, and you must submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victim, and you cannot go to that person's residence or workplace. Your next court date on this is going to be July 8th. At 1:30 in the afternoon. That court date is very likely to change, so if you are released from custody, make sure you stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial services so you know when your next court date is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. Ma'am, you also have cases in Tucson City Court. You have charges of disorderly conduct, assault, 2 counts of failure to appear, shoplifting, and failure to appear. These cases are from 2019 and 2020. I am going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to an attorney, and I'm appointing the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. I'll release you on your own signature on these charges. I'm ordering that you do not have any contact with any listed victims and do not return to the incident location and do not return to the victim's residence or workplace. If I didn't say it already, I'm appointing the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. Your next court date on this is August 5th at 9 a.m. at Tucson City Court with Judge Hale. If you're in custody, your attorney will handle the case for you, the hearing. If you're out of custody, you must appear for that hearing. If you're not there, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence, and if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. Ma'am, do you have any questions about your release conditions or court date? All right. Good luck, ma'am.
They don't say that.
Hello.
Hi, sir. What's your full name?
Benjamin Earl Larson.
All right. Sir, you're here because you've been charged with unlawful imprisonment as a domestic violence offense and aggravated assault as a domestic violence offense. I will enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Pretrial Services is recommending that I release you under their supervision. The state is recommending that I hold you on a $50,000 bond. I do have a Form 4C in this case, which is a intimate partner risk assessment. And for the record, I'll note that he is at a high risk according to that assessment. Give me one moment to finish reviewing the information that I have.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, defense counsel.
Judge, we'd be asking that you release him to pretrial services. He has verified housing away from the victim. He also has employment and support with a friend. He's lived here in Tucson for 13 years, so he's not a flight risk. I don't believe he's a danger to the community, especially not the victim, because they have separate residences and the court will order that he can't have contact with her. He has no priors and he's 43 years old with no priors. So given those facts, we ask you release him to pretrial services. If you're inclined to give a bond, then we'd be asking for a $5,000 bond.
All right. Given the complete lack of any felony criminal history and the complete lack of any domestic violence history, felony or misdemeanor, and his risk assessment scores, which are as low as they could possibly get on everything except that risk assessment I talked about earlier. Sir, I'm going to give you a chance to be released on pretrial services. I'm ordering that you do not have any alcohol or illegal drugs, do not commit any acts of domestic violence, do not possess any firearms or weapons. You must submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. If you own any firearms or weapons, you're required, or possess them, you're required to surrender those to law enforcement within 24 hours. You're not to have any contact whatsoever with the alleged victim. I want to be very, very clear with you, sir. That means no contact. You cannot call, email, text. You cannot go on any social media. You can't tell someone to tell her something. That is contact. And it doesn't matter if she wants contact with you. If she calls you, you hang up. If she comes to your house, you don't open the door, okay? You're being ordered by a judge to have no contact. It doesn't matter if she wants contact. If you have contact in violation of a court order, it is a new offense and it's a violation of these release conditions, and you could be held in custody. I am going to set a preliminary hearing on July 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. Sir, that court date is very likely to change, so you need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial services so you know when your court date is. If you miss your court date, you will get a warrant. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or court date?
No, Your Honor.
All right, good luck, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Parade.
So,
Hi, sir, what's your full name?
Joel Dunpelly.
All right, sir, you are here because you've been charged with 2 counts of misconduct involving weapons. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you. Pretrial services and the prosecutor are both recommending that I release you to pretrial services on their enhanced supervision program, so that's what I'm going to do. You're not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and you must submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. Your next court date on this is going to be July 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. Sir, that court date is very likely to change, so you need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial services so you know when your court date is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. Counsel, did I say the PD's office was appointed?
yes.
I did, okay. All right, sir, do you have any questions about your release conditions or your court date?
No.
All right, good luck, sir.
Hello.
Hi, sir, what's your full name?
Michael Primer.
All All right, sir, you are here because you've been charged with conspiracy to sell a narcotic drug, conspiracy to sell a dangerous drug, and possession of a narcotic drug for sale. I will enter a not guilty plea for you. I do see a private attorney, Mark Resnick, is online and just turned his camera on. Oh, I do have a notice of appearance. So Mr. Resnick is appearing on this case. So give me one moment, Mr. Resnick, and I will hear from you. Pretrial Services is recommending that I release you under their supervision. The state is asking for a $25,000 bond. Let me make sure I've reviewed everything else. All right, Mr. Resnick?
Yes, Your Honor. If there's any concern as to Mr. Primer showing up, I think I can assuage the court by telling you that he has never missed a court date. I represented him in a matter that's probably about 10, 12 years old. He never missed a court date then. He has come by my office several times since then just to stop in and say hello. And he's got ties to the community. If you tell Mike to be somewhere, he's going to show up. So I don't think there's any fear in that regard.
Well, I'm more concerned with the fact that he's been to prison twice for sale of narcotic drugs or related charges. And now that's the charge again.
I do understand that, Judge. Those were a long, long time ago. And so, quite frankly, before I ever represented him on anything, and he'd never been convicted any time that I'd represented him. So I don't know what was going on back then, but those are very, very almost ancient charges.
All right, sir, I'm going to follow pretrial services recommendation. However, I want to be clear with you that this was really a borderline decision for me. What that tells me is that if you get a new charge or you get a warrant for failure to appear, the next judge is very likely to hold you on bond. But I will give you a chance on pretrial services release. I'm ordering that you do not have any alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial services. Your next court date is a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon. However, that court date is very likely to change. So you need to stay in touch both with your attorney and with pretrial services so you know when your next hearing is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. Do you have any questions about your release conditions or your court date?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Mike, call me tomorrow afternoon. I'll be in Maricopa County in the morning.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we expect. Oh, there's. Linda, your turn.
Hello.
Hi, sir. What's your full name?
Claudio Orlando Delgio.
Give me one moment. All right, sir, you're here on multiple different things. First of all, you have new felony charges of burglary. I will enter a not guilty plea for you. You have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you. Pretrial Services is recommending that I set a bond. The state is asking for a $5,000 bond. Give me 1 minute to finish reviewing everything I have here. All right, defense counsel?
Just a moment, Your Honor. Thank you, Judge. So I spoke with Mr. Valdez-Gill, and he does not have any housing at the moment or employment, so his financial situation is rather low. He does have family support in the area, and he's lived in Tucson most of his life, so he has ties to the community. Given those factors, we'd be asking for a $2,000 bond.
I have to consider his failure to appear history and his risk to the community, and I'm about to go through a whole bunch of cases that are all shoplifting that he's failed to appear for court on. I think I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $3,000 secured on the felony charge. Sir, if you post that bond, you're released to pretrial services. You're not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and submit to any monitoring or treatment that's directed by pretrial. You're also not to go back to the incident location. Your next court date on this case is a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That court date is likely to change though, sir. So if you do post bond and you're released from custody, you need to stay in touch with your attorney and with pretrial so you know when your next hearing is. If you miss it, you will get a warrant. Sir, you also have a warrant out of Pima County Justice Court for failure to appear on shoplifting charges. On that case, I'm going to release you on your own signature. I'm going to order that you do not go back to the incident location. And I am going to give you a court date of tomorrow because you're being held on the felony offenses. And that will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with Judge Steele. If you're in custody, you'll be seen by video. If you are released from custody before then, you must appear in Pima County Justice Court for that hearing or a warrant could issue. Sir, in Tucson City Court, you have warrants for failure to appear on charges of shoplifting, possession of drug paraphernalia, shoplifting, possession of a prescription medication without a prescription, possession of drug paraphernalia, criminal trespass, obstructing a government operation law enforcement officer, possession of drug paraphernalia, refusing to provide your true name to police. And then, let's see, you may also have failure to appear charges. Let me see. You're also charged with failure to appear in 3 of those cases. I am going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You do have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the city public defender's office to represent you. I'm setting bond in the amount of $500 secured. I'm ordering that you do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not return to the incident location. Your next court date, if you're in custody, is July 5th at 1:45 in the afternoon, and you'll be seen by video. If you are released from custody before then, your court date changes to July 24th at 2:30 in the afternoon at Tucson City Court with Judge Mayhew. If you're in custody at that time, if you're still in custody at that time, your attorney will handle it for you. If you're out of custody before July 5th, you must appear in Tucson City Court on July 24th. If you don't, a warrant could issue. You could be tried and convicted in your absence. And if you couldn't be sentenced within 90 days, because of your failure to appear, you could also lose your right to appeal. Do you have any questions, sir?
Well, Your Honor.
All right, good luck, sir. All right, I believe that's everything. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good night.